Yeah. Another thing I want on this field is zip lines. Not from.
Oh wait, not as a separate sport, as part of the capture the flag.
Yeah, competitive zip lining. No, yeah, as a part of capture the flag.
And then the questions were majority case vignettes where you get a paragraph of text and it's like an X-year-old person came into clinic after X. These are their vital signs. They report having traveled to this. They didn't have that. They did have diarrhea. It was watery. It wasn't bloody. This is their temperature. Lab testing for this came back negative. This is their their blood count, all of the lab panels we got.
Right.
Of the most likely organism to cause this illness, what is a primary side effect of the first choice medication?
That's the most stressful thing I've ever heard. Oh my God.
Yeah, it's basically the Cold War in sports, except explicit and not implied.
And every other game can be recreated for $30.
So I left a tent set up in the school for like 2 days, realized they were touring prospective students who had matched to Dell. I realized you would need a clap with my audio and your video as well in case we had to use that.
Right.
See how forward thinking we are now? It's like we've put in our 10,000 hours.
Yeah, seriously, we're such professionals at this point, dude.
And that's
our fans are so lucky to have this content.
And that's why I'd like to make the announcement that we're doing less hours. We've already hit.
Oh yeah, true.
We've attained the level of proficiency that we set out to attain. Razor thin can only be honed so much further.
Exactly. We're splitting atoms with our razors at this point.
We got a lot of chickens in the pot, and we got to stir them all. So make sure we split our time up judiciously. Which is not to say we will be neglecting the Fellasdom and all of our fella fans out there.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Instead, what's our compromise, Stephen? Tell them. Tell the people what they get now.
So what we're doing now, we're going to turn this show into a little bit of a bi-weekly show. We're going to be trying to bring you guys some more content every episode, but you guys just aren't sending us enough money in the mail. You're not sending us mail order checks. You're not Venmoing us.
No mail order brides.
So we're going to be holding the show slightly hostage. The ransom is any amount of money you want to send on a weekly basis. Well, bi-weekly now, since those are the episodes you're getting. But if the profit motives turn around, we'll go back to weekly episodes. But until then, the show is being held hostage.
Yeah. That pretty much sums it up. We're going to be bringing more content, maybe a little bit more effort. We'll see.
Yeah, exactly.
Aim to have more thing per minute in the Fellasdom and more minutes per episode, but fewer episodes. If you do the math, it's all transitive. It carries over and gets hormone treatments, and it's the same quantity overall.
Unfortunately, this will not be one of those episodes. We kind of scrambled last week. Some stuff came up in both of our lives. So we have the same level of prep this week as we usually do, but going forward, that's going to all be different.
Yeah. Trust us when we say.
Yeah, exactly.
Steve may have said that to you in the past. I may have said that to you in the past, but never before have the couples let you down on a vow to change.
Yeah. We, yeah, we're going to put our money where our mouth is on this one.
Which means put some money where our money is, and then we'll talk.
Yeah, exactly. Hopefully this means that we can also, with episodes further apart and more planning, we can, schedule guests better. Bring some more proper segments, all that kind of stuff, rather than trying to push something out every Monday.
I think that one way, an action item, if you will, that we can commit to this now is to begin scheduling at least one episode recording ahead by the time we're doing that episode. So by the time we're done with this recording, Stephen, I expect you to have your calendar open and at least 2 options suggested.
Right. Okay. Will do. Yeah, I actually just today, my uncle texted me a selfie of
it's time.
Him in one of my old high school wrestling pullovers, and he's like, "Hey, look at this! look what I just stole from you. And I was like, oh, it looks better on you. And he said, yeah, I'm going to hold it hostage until I get on the podcast. So if I ever want to see that sweatshirt again,
how about next weekend? Now that we're bi-weekly, we can do it alternating wise, you know? Like we have 2 weeks worth of option to record, but at least 1 week ahead of time, probably good.
Yeah.
So
Agreed.
how about next Saturday, we have your uncle on. For the first time, everyone, a completely unconnected guest who didn't know either of us in any way outside of the podcast is going to be a guest on the podcast. This is growing. This community is growing. Y'all are growing. Really is. Pandemic 20 is now the Pandemic 30. Let's keep it going. We're all growing.
Yeah, I'll hit him up. Yeah, the thing is, I was like, ooh, do I want him to have to deal with like Discord and all that? But I don't see this happening any other way. So if we want him on, yeah, I'll get him on Discord. We'll set him up. We'll get him in the server. It's going to be great.
Your homework this week is to at least get him set up with Discord, the app, and in this voice room.
Yeah, unless he probably uses Zoom. Maybe we could do a Zoom episode. Who knows?
Feels like we're betraying our sponsor, Discord, but I'm okay with it.
Yeah, of course.
You want to hear about, speaking of sponsors, a really nifty connection I just found out about?
Yeah, sure.
Austin's a great place for, you know, the like 6 degrees of separation idea? Depending how loosely you play those rules, I'm now like within 1 or 2 of Rogan and Musk. We'll see how high I can climb. But
yeah, right.
One I just found out about today is a friend of someone I know here who is a 4 times Olympic guide runner for the blind 100-meter sprint in the Paralympics.
Blind 100-meter? Oh, okay.
Which means this guy has to be exactly as fast, which in reality means faster than the sprinter who is competing in the Paralympics that he is guiding. They have like a little hand tether between them, and he runs in the lane adjacent and is able to like help give signals about where they are distance-wise if by some chance he's left-right changing. In Brazil, he was the guide runner for the U.S. Olympian who broke the world record for the blind 100-meter sprint.
Wow.
This dude is faster than the fastest blind man, which might sound unimpressive until you see the time comparison. And the fact that the blind runners are like, you know, tenths of a second off of Usain Bolt.
Yeah.
Like, this dude is...
Really?
I'll double check the times, but like, it is a flat out full sprint with very athletic people who train for this. Like, they're still very much pro athletes, you know?
Yeah, that's like, I remember way back when we had a Would You Rather, and one of the options was you're the fastest man in the world, but only with your eyes closed. And these guys are basically pretty close to that.
Okay. It looks like they are 1 second behind. Like they're under 11 seconds. They're in the 10 point whatever. Usain Bolt is 9.58. This dude's trying to crack like 10.7. So they're just about a second behind. Fastest of all time.
Yeah. Do you think that it's like one of those things where you lose your sense of sight and you gain a sense of speed?
Probably not, just judging by the raw data that we have available.
Right. But I mean, they're still better than most people.
Very
pool
fast.
For runners, the pool of blind runners is just a lot smaller than runners.
That is true.
Yeah. Yeah, so maybe.
I think
that this holds water.
I wasn't sure how the Paralympics were broken down very much, and still am not, to be totally frank. And I kind of just assumed for a while until I was watching clips of this guy that they had more or less, I guess, all of the different types of para-ability people grouped together by sport. And it makes sense that they classify it a little bit more. Like, I'm pretty sure if it wasn't all blind runners, I don't know what the other individuals had, but the way I imagined it was like more or less Paralympic or not. So like, yeah, you could be blind and running, but if you were the dude who had like, were missing a hand below the wrist, you were in the same category, which just like non-comparable things. And I was like, oh yeah, is it not just like open brackets? But I think that's not really the case for it, because the guy who loses his leg and the guy who loses his arm and have prosthetics might not be like equal sprint competitors, but I don't know. I really don't. And I don't know how close like I honestly do not envy the people who have the job of parsing that out for the actual rules, because it sounds like you can step or would only step on everyone's toes in some way. Like no matter how
Yeah.
you group someone feels like they're getting shafted, someone else feels like they're doing the shafting, and a whole bunch of
Yeah.
those relationships across everyone involved. That is a whole pile of messy, and I don't know how they do it.
Yeah. If you could compete in one Olympic sport, which one would it be? Like,
Am I good at it, or am I just, I got a ticket to ride right now and I have to go as
you're
is?
No, imagine I'm not saying you're necessarily gold medalist material, but like, yeah, you're in there, you're competing, you got a shot. Which skill set do you think you would like the most of which?
If I could just
sport?
have any skill set, I think it would be sick to have that level of gymnastics capability.
Oh my god, dude, yeah. That's probably the right answer.
That shit blows my mind. I've started changing up my workouts to go more into the calisthenic route, given how much of it's body weight and hopefully not going to ruin my back further.
Yeah.
So we'll see. Maybe I can eventually get to those like cool flags and like different weird body hangs and shit. Get to that freaky level of muscular control.
Yeah, gymnastics. That's a really good answer. I mean, part of me obviously says like, oh, if I could get to that level of wrestling, yeah,
whoa,
that would be.
Who saw that coming?
Exactly, that would be really cool. But yeah, if we're talking about outside skill sets, oh my god, yeah, being like an Olympic level gymnast and just being able to do like
so cool.
I don't know, so many flips and everything, just whenever you want, all the time. Oh my, and just like that core strength, doing stuff like iron cross, uneven bars. So there are different events in gymnastics. Is there one that like speaks to you the most?
Well, I like the and you say that knowing like that they compete in, I think it's all 5 still. Like I think there's team sports and I think there may be a way some athletes do like not all of the events, but at least for like the individual all around or whatever, like they all do all of the events. But you're asking me what I would focus on, right?
Yeah. Okay, what's your specialty?
My subspecialty, my gymnastics jitsu.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, your keke genkai, your bloodline technique.
It's funny how common a thread that is across anime, that there's like, yep, that's there's a word for it in at least 15 shows that you know.
Yeah, exactly.
I think the uneven bars, I think, has some really cool shit, but also like,
isn't that only for women? Isn't there not?
You're probably right.
Uneven
I feel
bars?
like I see women uneven bars a lot more. Is men parallel? I forget.
Oh, maybe. I don't know enough about gymnastics.
I don't know. All of like the
out.
Instagram calisthenics clips that I've seen, a lot of them have parallel bars because that's the equipment. So I see guys do it on that, and it's not Olympic gymnastics. You're right, but I don't know. I just assumed that was a direct carryover. Fine. Rings.
I would do the
coolest fucking flex.
Yeah, that's kind of true. Just like the iron cross hanging in the air like Jesus Christ himself, but ripped.
Like
and
Korean
skinny
Jesus,
loser.
the jacked one.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay, what about Winter Olympics? To be so topical.
Shoot and ski. And I'm going into assassinry as a new career field.
Oh, yeah, you're going to be the next 007.
Have you watched
taking people off on the mountain? I've definitely seen it before. Okay. I haven't like watched it, like followed the Olympics. I mean, I just don't watch sports, but
me neither.
Yeah, I've seen like videos of shoot and ski before.
Good enough. I'll usually watch some of the Olympics. Like I watched some of the swimming ones, some of the sprint. It's always fun to catch the 100-meter because that one like is the one thing that people knew. So I try to watch
you can fit in a TikTok.
Exactly. I got 10 seconds. I can do this.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
My attention span can handle that. I try to watch some of the swimming, some of the running, some of the gymnastics, and like everything else is kind of icing on top. So very little, but it's fun to tune in. And generally with summer, I try and kind of keep up to date on scores, at least in the past I have.
Yeah.
But winter, no, I've never like tuned in. I'll watch YouTube clips and stuff, but Great White Balance or some crazy, like some of the big air snowboard and ski tricks are nuts.
Yeah.
Just so nuts.
Dude, yeah. What's the event called where it's like skiing, but you just launch yourself?
The one that Eddie the Eagle movie is from.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know.
I don't know what that.
Ice long jump.
Yeah, exactly. That one's the craziest shit to watch, dude. Yeah, just like barreling down a mountain and flying
Like
without a
100
parachute or
feet.
anything. Yeah, I can't believe they don't all die every time.
I like the boil down of the Winter Olympics, whereas I love the Winter Olympics events, like sliding down a hill on one board, sliding down a hill on two boards, sliding on a hill
Yeah.
laying down, sliding on a hill laying down with a friend. Like,
Yeah.
that is kind of a lot of it. There's curling.
I feel like
I saw my favorite person of the U.S. Winter Olympics team. It is the USA curling team, and I don't even know how to describe this guy.
oh, the guy's the meme, right? He's got
Yeah.
the long hair and everything.
I don't know
Oh,
if he's
yeah,
even still competing, but he's my man. Oh, yep, there he is.
Yeah,
There's
he's
the
blowing up.
mustache.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you know the one.
Dude, there should be a separate Olympics for just like, I don't know, backyard barbecue games / ice versions of those games. So like a
Spike ball.
shuffleboard, a curling, a spike ball, cornhole,
So
can jam.
Basically what Tournament Ranch is, but done at the level of
Yes.
the international competition.
But like with the world elites performing, yeah. I would take
I
that.
would love that.
That's something I would watch.
We should start the AltLympics, and it's just like all of those. It's tag, dodgeball,
Mhm.
like the extreme tag stuff. Where
Oh
they're
yeah,
doing
hell
parkour
yeah.
tag in a cube area.
Yeah,
Yeah.
hell yeah.
That for sure. Dodgeball, all of the backyard
Mhm.
games. That's like its own big bracket. The way that there's like all the track and field games within the Olympics. There's the
Oh my
backyard.
god, you know, if there was like an international tournament of capture the flag, I would want to see how that looks, dude.
Bro, I'd watch that.
Military strategy. Yeah, I would totally watch that. Everyone has like a little like GPS tracker on them, like so that you can just look at the whole field at once and just know where everybody is.
And then you can switch between live streams of each of their helmets, or like an array
Yeah.
of like Team A or Team B, all their views.
Yeah, exactly. Like a Five Nights at Freddy's kind of thing. There's just like different portions of the field are like
Ooh.
being streamed that you could switch between. Dude, this could be legit.
Let's
We
start.
can make
If we had a Mr. Beast-esque channel, we could just be doing this.
Yeah, dude.
Let's work our way
yeah.
toward that. Let's start dumping money into it, and let's start a Mr. Beast channel growth.
Oh my god.
All we
dude,
have to do is
yeah.
give other people money, and they'll love us.
Yeah, it'll be like watching like a League of Legends kind of thing, but IRL.
With a little less
I think that
magic, a
Yeah.
little more paintball gun.
Ooh. Paintball might have to be in our AltLympics as well.
I agree.
Yeah.
We're gonna draw this up. I might have to mock this out, make a little schematic of the events. This is
Yeah,
good. We
not
should
a
make.
bad
We should.
idea.
We should get this idea filed away and maybe approach some
Mhm.
investors.
Yeah. Yeah, dude, I like this. I like the idea of it also being in like a forest with, you know, guerrilla warfare. Each team has like an hour to like, I don't know, scout their own area, plant traps.
But don't
And, like,
forget,
hiding
the
spots.
competition is important, but we're trying to make this a spectator sport. And
Mhm.
a match max, like let's say football, or what are some of the longer sports that are in the Olympics? Like there's basketball, that's a whole game.
Yeah, soccer's in the Olympics. That's 90 minutes.
Okay, so counting whole time, we could maybe get 3 hours max.
Mhm.
That's like a target, I think. An hour
Yeah.
to scout their own time or their own area and set shit up seems a bit. Maybe 1 hour,
mean,
2 hour. That might be a good split with like actual forethought, training, and strategy.
Yeah. I would think that's like pregame time. Like football has like a pregame show. That'll be going on then. This isn't for people to find. This isn't for people to watch. Unless you want to pay us extra money, then you can watch just like these teams planning and stuff.
No, too risky. That communication would get in and out with this forest. People could be watching and talking about what the other team's doing. That might just have to be like a behind the scenes, or there's like a few cameras in like the corners and like the home base at their flag, but it's not like you're getting the full experience. Yeah, that's a pregame deal. You're right.
I'm trying to think
Are there
also.
are there any Olympic, Paralympic, Ice Olympic, any of those sports that have like a pre-period? Whether or not people can view it, is there any other competition on a big scale that has that?
don't think so. Not that I can think of.
All right, innovation. Let's start
Yeah.
from here.
The way I'm thinking about this too, also, how much communication are we allowing among a team? Like, does everybody have a headset? Does everyone able to like radio into like the rest of the team?
Yes, and it's up to them if they want to set that up with separate sub channels and like just split off into squads, organize squad leaders. They have a little terminal where in the prep period they can set up access and who gets to talk to whom.
I kind of like the idea.
Maybe they want it all like free for all and everyone chats to everyone. Maybe they want to silo it. I'm thinking, I don't know, what, teams of 20?
Yeah, sure. I'm thinking that each team can have like a general, basically, who all communication goes through them. They're checking in on everything else going on. People can report back to them.
Yes, and it's 13 people on
or
a
like
team.
a coach.
13 people on a team. That gives them 2 squads of 6, a free-for-all of 12, which is manageable on mics, 3 of 4, 4 of 3, and 1 general separate. So that gives them all the options.
Right.
12 is such a great divisible number. Just look at the clock and be appreciative.
Yeah, seriously. They really nailed it with the clock and the months of the year.
Gotta say, one of the artisanal things that impresses me the most are people that build clocks and watches. Like when you see basically at the highest end of watches, yeah, precision is key, beauty and nice materials are key, but what the real like money and skill that is paid for is just in how many complications, which is a function, they can build into one device, especially mechanically, not digitally. So there are watches that are, you know, a centimeter thick and 2.5 wide, 3 wide, that have 120 different functions or some bullshit, like timers, stopwatches, world clocks, moon phases, tides, based on gears, gear ratios, mechanical motion.
Yeah.
Like that might be, in its purest sense, like the epitome of engineering, is that degree of like geometry, spatial, math awareness, actual fabrication, like hand working, like that might be, and obviously a ton of it is computer aided now, but like they blend all of it. It's machine shop and also tweezers and jeweler eyeglasses. Like,
yeah, dude, they're basically like little mechanical computers. And it's insane how you can make that work in such a small area.
Accurate for up to 10,000 years based on like fucking, I don't even remember, accelerometer motion that charges it or whatever, auto winding. Like, come on. Yeah. Sorry for that tangent, but I've watched a few YouTube videos of just some of the highest end watches being assembled, and it's insane. It's so cool. I'll never be a watch guy because those are $2 million watches, but I will watch videos of the watches. I'm a watching guy.
Yeah, I'm a watcher. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Ever since I got a smartwatch, though, I don't think I could ever go back to mechanical.
Who watches the watchers? Anyone listening to this on YouTube?
I guess, wow, yeah. We're so meta here.
No, we're not. They dropped like a quarter of their value in a day, don't forget.
Yeah, true.
We can't associate
we're trying to take their spot.
I'd say we're
going to be the next one.
I'd say Netta, just to pull a little tiny spin on their name, but I remember Netta is a system of weed dispensaries in Massachusetts. And now that I live in Texas, can't say I'm Netta affiliated, even though they are one of our sponsors.
Yeah, of course. Shout out Netta. Use our promo code. Get a free joint or something. I'm not sure.
Whatever they do up in Massachusetts. Anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
Building this game, we've got teams of 13. They do have headsets. How big an area did you want them in this field? This Squid Games ass field? Yeah,
that's a good question. If we're putting 13 people per team,
a lot of ground with professional operators, but it also is 2 hours. We don't need a Fortnite ass force field closing in. We can be better than that.
Yeah. Oh God, I'm so bad at estimating space.
I feel like a square mile starting at opposite corners and in like, I don't know, roughly an ovally diamond shape, sure, League of Legends-esque, is fine.
Yeah.
That means that its longest, you'd be doing what, 1.71 miles base to base?
Yeah.
Actually, that might be too much if we want multiple
I think that's too big, yeah.
Let's cut it to a half mile. That'll bring it down significantly, and then you're only traversing whatever 1 root 2 times 0.5 is.
Yeah. The fans at home can do the math on that. Let us know the area.
It's like 0.86 miles you'd be going corner to corner. So less than a mile, which is fine even if it's foresty terrain, because at a decent jog, that's what, 15, 20 minutes to cover?
Yeah.
Okay, that's a good test pilot.
That's fine.
We might bring it down to like a third mile on the edges, but we can work with that. Half mile or less.
Another question. Do teams get to choose where they hide their flag, or is this something where both of the teams have completely symmetrical fields with the flags in the same spot?
I can do this. And I won't even draw it out because then people who aren't on YouTube, losers, won't get the benefit of it. So, okay. I'm putting my two hands together, making kind of an oval with all my fingers and thumbs. Like, I don't know how to better describe that. Make a C with both hands, touch them together.
It's kind of like when people make a heart, but it's just an oval.
Exactly. Now, within that, smaller circle at either end, taking up whatever, maybe a third of that half. That is the area in which they can put their flag.
Okay.
It's to be decided if the flag like beeps or has a light or there's like a transponder that lets them know they're closer, or if there's any aid to that. It's probably going to be big-ish and visible, or transponding and smaller.
I like the idea of like a hot and cold system where like the closer you get to it, you're like being told that you're getting closer.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then you find it and it's whatever, like a fist-sized neon bundle.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect.
Now, is this game going to be full contact?
Yes. Non-lethal.
Okay,
Taser's
awesome.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering. How close to Hunger Games do we make this? Are there supply drops from their companies? Because, I don't want to play against Russia.
Yeah, I feel like this would have to be like a paintball kind of system too. I don't think that you could do this non-paintball.
Yeah, there's a specifically formulated paintball. We change it up a bit each year so teams can't cheat as easily. And there's a compound that's like back at your base where you started that lets you wash it off. So you get hit, you got to drop whatever flag you have and get the hell back to your base, clean it off, and get back in.
Yeah. I agree. Yeah, you don't want to be eliminating people because the game, you still want to have like a good competition.
Yep. So there's that.
Yeah, you can respawn basically if you get out.
Yeah.
It just takes a while. Okay.
Perfect. And it's
also, are we allowing steroids?
Yeah.
I say definitely.
Of course.
Okay.
I'm getting convinced the more I hear that there's a way to find like a legalization that cuts down on risk to athletes, both from the dangers of their sport and from the draw of illegal and, hidden from doctor steroid use. That would improve competition quality, allow for people to achieve greater things, not significantly be damaging to health if it was monitored and in conjunction with physicians, improve our understanding of, I think that there is a way where more steroids than we currently allow in sport, broadly speaking, would be beneficial in most of the different areas. So for our shit, guns loose.
Okay, gotcha. Guns loose. Start injecting, boys.
Oh, yeah. I'm hoping we pull together, Dolph Lundgren, Stallone. Our inaugural team needs to be showy.
Yeah. I also like the idea, if it's not a forest, or if it is a forest, there's like a whole treehouse system. I like ladders, I like stairs, I like platforms, I like decks.
I like rock walls.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I want people scrambling. I want this to be a 3-dimensional battlefield, basically.
Yeah. What I was going to say also is we want this to be relatively fair in terms of competition and capability by country, especially if we want this to take off at the international level. Do we have multiple arenas like Pokemon Battle Zone where it's just not in the same place because we want to just we're not building a forest, we'll use a forest.
Yeah.
Does it change by year? Or are there multiple and it's random and you find out what your match will be the day before?
No, I think that each tournament should use a single field.
And do we broadcast that years in advance so that there's a chance for them to train? I'm just thinking
study it.
Tunisia's team is not going to do well if we pick an Arctic map, especially with no notice.
Yeah, right.
Or do we just say fuck it? That's how it goes. Sometimes you roll a 1 on the D20.
No, I'm thinking we announce the field ahead of time. I think that this is going to be very popular, and there's going to be capture the flag professional fields all over the place, so people will generally know them, and so maybe it's similar to how whenever it's announced that this year's Olympics are going to be in this place
years ahead,
we can do the same kind of thing. Maybe not years ahead. That seems like a lot, but yeah, I want to make an event of this where before the tournament begins, the field has been announced and people can get hype about it.
Okay. Sure.
Yeah.
Some people watch to cheer the teams on. Some people watch to hope their favorite map is the one being played.
Yeah, exactly.
Like
exactly.
You watch Super Bowl for the commercials. I watch International Capture the Flag to see that Arctic map go.
Yeah, exactly.
Branded gear. I'm seeing it now.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah,
so
for sure.
Are we expecting this to effectively be a chance for countries to just flex their special forces on one another?
Yeah, I would say so.
Okay, because that's what it sounds like.
Yeah, there's going to be like specialists and everything.
It'd be real cool to see independent, like, what was it? Blackwater? Yeah, Blackwater, the private security company that had all those like Afghanistan and Iraq contracts. It'd be funny to see like private militaries start hosting teams that are winning, and it's like, oh boy, have any of you ever played any of the Metal Gear games?
Dude, yeah, I can imagine that this would be a non-violent solution to war. Like this would essentially be a proxy for war.
Just somebody's gonna get killed. It's gonna be an international incident.
Maybe.
I'm imagining this. Did you ever see the original Predator from like 1980s or whatever?
No, I've never seen it.
It's excellent, but it's rainforest and the Predator is, spoiler alert, 30 years later, hunting down a bunch of these special forces soldiers until it's just him and Arnold. I won't tell you the outcome.
Okay.
But I'm imagining it very similar to that, where it's just like big forest. They're like armed and equipped to some degree. So what does this look like? Are we randomizing or standardizing the gear as well?
Gear should be standardized
by the map, depending on the biome that we're playing this year's competition in.
Yeah, I think everyone should get the same gear. I think that makes it fair.
Okay. Do we want to dig into that at all, or should we keep building out our AltLympics? This sounds a lot like the way that soccer has all of its own professional leagues, same with basketball, but they play in the Olympics. It sounds like Capture the Flag is going to take off on its own as an annual thing, and then
for sure
every 4 years at the AltLympics is the real flex time.
Yeah, we'll have our own circuit, but it's going to be undeniable, so the Olympics will have to accept it.
Like how UFC is the brand name for MMA.
Yeah, exactly.
And Kleenex is the tissue brand name, and BandAid is the brand name for,
bandages.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I almost said Band-Aids, but I couldn't think of the word because they're so fucking ubiquitous.
Yeah, true.
Speaking of Band-Aids, I volunteered at the Texas Winter Special Olympics today, which was super cool. They put together, I think it was called MedFest, but the way it worked was at any point, like before, after, between competition that these athletes were playing, there was a little circuit in this. It was a really cool like sports complex, which I don't feel like you see in New England very much because that's pretty much just attached to universities and private high schools. But like huge multi-story gym, classes area, multiple like basketball, volleyball courts, big turf area, just a huge indoor sports complex. Really nice. It was cool. But in one area of it, they had set up the robotics competition, which I think might be a part of Special Olympics. Interesting, but yeah, some of those participants code with MIT, which is some cool projects to work on.
Yeah.
Anyway, they could come over and get this little passport. It had a whole bunch of pages of like health info, and then there was a little circuit for them to follow where they got a sports physical, and it was a whole bunch of med students, some residents, a fellow or two, and several surgeons and physicians, like really well staffed, just taking vitals, doing sports physicals and signing off on that. And then they could walk to the next station, and it was like a foot health thing because there's a lot of congenital foot stuff depending on different pair abilities people are born with. So like gait analysis and like foot pat, like that was part. And then it was the the dental portion where they had a bunch of dental students and dentists, and they could get like surface level exams and referrals and stuff. That like just station by station, and it filled out this passport and got like an update on all of their health information, all of their checkups, all of the like recommendations and health info they needed. Really cool, really well run. There's a lot of like Special Olympics athletes who, by the time you age out of pediatric primary care, don't really have a consistent doctor that they follow up with. And in Texas, especially, there's a ton of small towns where you're like not near many doctor's offices. So people will use like their urgent care as their primary care. And that's not good for long-term continuous follow-up. So yeah, just a really cool initiative. But BandAid being the bridge here, I ended up getting shifted because we had so many students doing physicals to the medical staff who were there to like respond. Someone tore their meniscus. Once or twice someone caught a volleyball and got like a concussion, but we were there with ice, Band-Aids, pretty much nothing else. And the guy who handed the job off to us is like, we're the #1 Band-Aid user in all of Texas or something like that.
What a flex, bro.
I know. And apparently, I mean, Band-Aid fixes everything. Like, ow, something hurts. Let me put this on. And they're like,
let me slap this on it, yeah.
Hell yeah. So Band-Aid really does solve a lot of problems. But one competitor sprained his thumb or something, and one of my classmates went over and like checked it out, talked to him, was like, oh, can you do this? How you doing? And the guy's just like, holding his shoulder and moving. He's like, I think I'm okay. And he like goes back to playing. All right, that's a different joint, so I guess it's not bothering you very much.
He's got the heart of a champion, dude.
Yeah, and honestly, some of the volleyball was where I was standing nearby and watching, and some of the competitors, we were wondering, like, what is the inclusion criteria? Because some of these dudes were just athletes. And I'm like,
hell yeah.
Like, there was one guy who was full jump spiking the volleyball routinely. I'm like, I never saw this in any of the intramural I played. Like, this is quality competition. Yeah, it was. I mean, I think they had a bunch of regional, but this was maybe even all of Texas, the Winter Olympics, Special Olympics, whatever it was. So there was some quality competition. I saw some people laying some smack down on that ball. There's a couple of dudes that were like 6'4", 6'5", and just like, damn,
you're disabled. What am I? Yeah.
Literally, at least by volleyball standards, they were much more able than I was, for sure.
Yeah, of course.
And we were wondering, I mean, Texas is weird, so like, not at all to cast suspicion on anyone there, but Texas just is weird with a lot of health stuff and a lot of more stigmatized health stuff. I'm sure you've heard some of the drama. And it might just be like their inclusion criteria. Like, I have no idea. Like ADHD, you're good, or I'm not sure. So yeah, it was nifty. It really covered the whole spectrum of competition. Shitload of medals there. It was cool.
Yeah.
Anyway, back to our Altalympics, which is totally not crossing over in market share.
Yeah. Another thing I want on this field is zip lines. Not from...
Oh, wait, not as a separate sport, as part of the Capture the Flag.
Yeah, competitive zip lining. No, yeah, as a part of Capture the Flag.
Ooh, slacklining should be an event somewhere in our competition.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah. That'd be a good Alt-Olympic sport for sure. I feel like a lot of these are simple games, and then there's also Capture the Flag. That's a full military... insurgent
multi-million-dollar training facilities. Like, yeah, it's basically the Cold War in sports, except explicit and not implied.
And every other game can be recreated for $30.
Should we split this off and just have our Alt-Olympics and also this as an annual tournament?
Yeah, our Capture the Flag League.
Oh, shit, we didn't even realize that. What's the competition structure? Single elimination? Are there multi-team rounds? Like, if we're doing this and it's open to, I don't know, there's 206 or so countries, depending on who you ask. And we'll see how this Russia thing goes. Might be 205 soon. And there's like usually around 170 or something that compete in the Summer Olympics. Maybe like 100 or something that compete in winter. That's a total guess, but I'm ballparking that it's less.
Yeah.
Okay. So maybe we could assume...
Yeah, every country can send someone who runs fast.
Yeah. So these are whole ass teams. Let's say the actual competition, 48 teams maximum.
Sure.
I don't know why. We'll just go with that.
I
don't know how we limit it to that if it gets bigger. Anyone's guess.
Yeah.
We just send them through the hunter exam. They have to walk really fast for like 60 miles and then
yeah.
first team's done win.
Okay.
So
yeah, we got to thin the herd at the beginning. I agree.
I don't know how we'll do that. We'll figure it out. We'll outsource. That's the buzzword. We'll outsource that part. How we get
Yeah, whenever we that's what we say whenever we don't have an answer. That's an outsourcing thing. That's beneath us.
Perfect. I'm glad that we've settled that as well. So 48. Outsourcing handles the rough parts, and then we get a list of 48 countries that are most qualified to compete.
It should probably be a power of 2, right? If this is like a bracket system.
Fine.
64?
Yeah. But that's a lot.
It is
I don't want to open it up. Well, fuck it. You never know when an underdog story goes through. And if we can get like...
Exactly.
If Tajikistan can take home the gold, that'd be awesome.
Dude, that would make me happier than anything if Tajikistan could do it. Or Tajikistan. I don't know how to pronounce it. I'm going to trust you on this one.
You probably shouldn't, but I'm doing my best. I'm throwing respect their way, not shade. I think it's super sunny and there's not a lot of trees there, so shade isn't their favorite thing anyway.
Okay. Yeah, they're not used to it.
Yeah, I'm weatherist. What about it? Okay, so we got 64. Well, what's...
Yeah.
Maybe 32?
Sure. 32. I can agree to that.
Perfect. I'm glad. Or maybe like the top 24 move on. It's 48, and the first... the second 24 have to cut themselves down so that, you know what I mean, where there's like an extra chance for more teams. We could build that in if we have a lot of interest in competition. Anyway.
Yeah.
32.
32 it is. Okay.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Post yesterday's exam, I've been like in a funk. My brain is barely getting back to functioning baseline. I apologize if I'm spinning off wildly here. I'll be honest. Fine. Yesterday after the exam, the first thing we did is a good number of our classmates are probably going to be remediating, which it was a rough exam. We were all in person last semester, and then we went virtual for this block, which also was like wildly different in the amount of straight memorization that it was. So
real quick, what does remediating mean?
Doing it again. If you fail a test at Dell, it's not like you're kicked out of med school and can't become a doctor. They're pass fail. You have to take it again, schedule it for later in the block or semester, whatever. Take it again.
Okay.
It's not really a gimme because then you're prepping, again, full time for a massive new exam that's coming, as well as studying for the one you have to take again. Not easier, but it's another chance.
Yeah.
And this was a rough one. Just by timing, COVID, everything that was... the way things came together for January and early February for all of my med school. A good number of us, including maybe me, will be taking this again. So immediately after the test, the first thing we did was sit down and regurgitate as many of the questions as we could remember between us. So of the 100 question tests, we got to like 75 or 80 different questions.
That's not bad.
Not bad at all, especially considering...
Yeah, that's really good recall.
Especially considering like, dude... Cramming is not great, but this was by far the crammiest I have ever done. I might have crammed to my maximum cram potential. I pushed it plus ultra. You'll hear what the aftermaths were. So Sunday, exam Friday, Sunday is the day I sit down and am really able to start studying. Did a ton of shit this semester. Med school's funky in the way that you can be constantly doing things and being productive, but there is so much to do, and it's such a game of like what can be pushed off, what is good enough. Like I forget there's a rule that starts with P, but it's like 80% of the progress comes from 20% of the work. Like it's a diminishing returns kind of heuristic. And you really got to lean into that in med school just by the sheer quantity. So
Pareto distribution.
Sure.
No, maybe. That's a different thing.
It's not the rule I'm thinking of, but yeah, the 80-20 work rule, which is basically like you get the majority of stuff done in the minority of time, and then it's like a diminishing returns curve to polish shit up to 100 hypothetically.
Right.
Yes. That is maybe the single most important lesson in med school. There's never going to be a way that anyone is going to be able to learn everything that we could be responsible for knowing. It's just not the way it works. You have to know the bulk of it, and you have to know when you don't know, and you have to know where to go to find out. So like, Anyway, I didn't do great nailing the time management of all that and didn't get to cover much of the material on my own outside of required class until like a week before. So Saturday evening, I finish off the last, like, this is not studying thing I have to do. And I'm like, great. All week, nothing but study. Still a little bit too crammy for my taste, but it's what we're working with.
Yeah. Right.
As I start moving through the material Sunday, I start getting more and more aware of how much material there is. Like, this exam was microbiome, immunology, and pharmacology, if I'm going to summarize it in 3 things. The immunology is like several hundred pages of grad school level textbook immunology that we're possibly responsible for. And that's big. That would be a whole ass serious test for any other like degree program. The microbiology, there's like 80 or 100 bacteria, maybe 70 or 80 bacteria, 30 or 40 viruses, 20, 25 parasites, 20, 25 helminths, which are like nematodes, like worms. And I need to know for every one of those, like where they're found, key clinical features, the disease they present with, the timeline, the treatment, like rates of infectivity, like how they compare to one another, how you distinguish them under a microscope, what lab testing lets you decide what bacteria it is, all of it. And then also about 170 drugs, the pharmacology of them, what particular like structures make them functional, how things are resistant to them, what their mechanism of action is, when to use them, what's resistant to them, what you use when you find out something's resistant to them. All of these classes of drugs down to like where on the bacterial ribosome they function and how. And all of the possible interactions between those things.
Yeah.
And then the questions were majority case vignettes where you get a paragraph of text and it's like an X-year-old person came into clinic after X. These are their vital signs. They report having traveled to this. They didn't have that. They did have diarrhea. It was watery. It wasn't bloody. This is their temperature. Lab testing for this came back negative. This is their their blood count, all of the lab panels we got.
Right.
Of the most likely organism to cause this illness, what is a primary side effect of the first choice medication?
That's the most stressful thing I've ever heard. Oh my God.
I wish I was shitting you. And honestly, when I took the exam, some question, like 5 or 10 of them of the 100 were kind of gimmies, but the majority of them are some version of that. Or there's like a single piece of information that it's like, oh, it's gotta be Neisseria meningitidis that's causing this. And if you don't know it, or if you don't catch it, or if like that one piece of information you don't recognize in the vignette, it's like deductive guesswork.
Yeah. So I remember in undergrad for engineering, especially later on in our classes, so many of our exams and everything, at least in electrical, I don't know how it was in other classes, we got to have, cheat sheets that the professor would provide, or you could like bring in your own notes. Some exams were open book. Like, is it like that in med school, or do you just have to remember all these different features of all these different things?
It's not only just like that. They like check your pocket, no smartwatch, no hat. Like, you're walking in with a laptop, a charger, and a pen. They give you scratch paper that you turn in at the end of the exam.
Yeah.
Like,
wait, you get a laptop?
That's what we take it on. But it's like a lockdown. It's like a lockdown thing.
I don't know. That doesn't seem like a good way to test. Like,
it's not the best. And moving it to pass fail is better because, again, like it really shouldn't matter just by luck of the draw. For example, I got very lucky in the questions that were asked, and it was a lot of what I did cover. And what I didn't cover was like stuff I had at least skimmed through and had some familiarity with the terms. So it just like on break, it was a lucky exam for me. And that's how it is. That was 100 questions. I, who am not like nearly physician level qualified, could easily identify 1,000, 1,500 testable pieces of information and then build questions backwards from that. What like somebody who knows all of the content we have to know is like, I don't know how many questions they could make, but it's a shitload. So the fact that like it shouldn't matter if you know the majority of it or all of what was asked. And pass fail does a good job approximating that. But like, yeah, I mean, to some extent, you need quantifiable data on what students are learning, and a test is kind of the only best option for that, despite Dell's efforts to like do everything against that sort of bias.
Well, yeah, I don't have a problem with testing in general. I think that tests to examine students and make sure that, like, that seems like a fine way to make sure that students are learning things, but I don't think that just this pure memorization of all these different things makes the most sense. It's the same kind of idea where no college math class would tell you you can't use a calculator. Like, in the way that, like, when you were a kid and people would say, you're not going to have a calculator in your pocket. Like, you'll always have these online database resources.
But what you won't always have, and what almost no physicians have, is enough time to do that. You need to be able, both in emergent situations where an immediate decision needs to be made, and also when things go wrong, like during a very routine surgery, you need to be able to immediately react and know what's going on. You also do, to some extent, need to be aware of what every other field of medicine and its impact is having on your patient. Like, if you're a surgeon, you got to know what kind of cardiac stuff this patient's going through. And if they take anti-clotting medication, pro-clotting, like if you nick a vein, that matters. So you need to have at least some immediate and on-hand familiarity with a very broad range of things. And also, in like a literal sense, if every doctor had to cross-reference everything that a patient came in with, A, it would take forever. And B, where are they cross-referencing that? Like, are they going to original sources? Or are you going to WebMD, at which point you're doing less of a job as a doctor? Like, there is an extent, especially for medicine versus things that are not immediate and dealing with the health of another person at that moment. Looking things up and adding that time is like the proper way to do it for sure. And in medicine, it is definitely like, especially for rarer conditions, presentations, illnesses, more complex patients, specialized drugs, like, yeah, definitely check your work. But to a pretty serious extent, you need to be familiar with and able to make decisions on whatever information is presented. And to Dell's credit, especially with the exams that we get, they are all vignettes. So like, yeah, I need to know the side effect, but the majority of that question is not testing my memorization of the drug. Like, yes, it is in the absolute sense. What they're actually testing is like, given this presentation, this like sick person, can you identify from all of this what the causative agent is and how you would appropriately treat that? And with especially like microbiology, that matters a lot because it's super specific which bacteria or virus is resistant to or like susceptible to which drug. And then because all of the drugs have different side effects and affect different, like pregnancy versus children versus very old people versus immunocompromised people versus people who are on other medications processed by the same enzymes impacted by this medication. Like, there's very particular and correct, or at least best case answers to a lot of that kind of information. So you got to test it, and you got to have a certain amount of it in the brain vault. Like,
so talking about how important the speed of treatment is, that kind of has inspired me for another game, and it's competitive surgery. I think if we have two surgeons going head to head with obviously judges thereafter to like give deductions on point totals, it's going to be a race for speed, but there's going to be penalties for bad stitches, unnecessary cuts, things like that. But I think that competitive surgery, that could be another great sport.
Is that thinking time trial?
Yeah, essentially it's like a time trial. Yeah.
Yeah, you're going to have a hard time getting almost every country in the world to give a thumbs up on that because it inherently risks patient care.
It could be on cadavers, we'll say, to make this actually doable.
That
to
changes
make this realistic, we'll say it's on cadavers.
Plasticization of a corpse really changes like the way tissues work. But I like where you're going.
Okay.
Reminds me
we'll have an artificial heart that's like pumping blood through the veins.
I want to say it's like Robert Lister or whatever, but there was some dude who was known as like effectively the fastest hand in the West, but for amputation surgery. This guy. If we end up leaning into the idea of like presenting on a historical figure, maybe I'll start with him. The TLDR of
Okay.
it is that he was just really fucking good at amputations. I think this
Nice.
might have been in like the early days of like ether anesthesia, so like mate, but probably not. Most likely patients just felt everything and were biting on a leather wrapped stick. But
Mhm.
like in operating room theaters, like the old timey rows of seating where there's like a table at the center, like a lecture hall, but with surgery tables set up. Very
Yeah.
sterile, very good for that. They used to do like demonstratory surgeries, as well as like that's traditionally how oldie medical schools taught anatomy and shit, was like, you
Mhm.
know, an auditorium seating and watching a cadaver dissection and stuff like that. So when I went to
Yeah, like in
Edinburgh's
Frankenstein.
surgery museum, they had like a medical hall like that where in the 1800s, this is where students watched dissections or whatever.
That's so cool.
It really, really was. I loved that school.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll do a fellowship there or something.
Hell
I'd
yeah.
love to go to Scotland for a bit. A fellowship. The Fellowship of the Ring. Anyway,
Yeah, that's what we're gonna start calling our interns.
do a fellowship. I love it.
Yeah.
We're building out a lot of really good ideas for a corporation here.
Dude, this is what happens when we're doing bi-weekly episodes. We start coming up with gold.
We're just better. We're just better all the way.
Exactly.
Yeah, so this dude, like, I think holds the record also for the most fatal surgery at 300%. Because while in the process, he was down to like, I want to say 40-second amputations of like, what this is. I'm not taking the time to really think on it or fact check myself now in anticipation of giving like a 10-minute TED talk on him next episode.
Right.
But he was doing this incredibly quick amputation and cut his assistant's hand. And
Wow.
yeah, and it was so quick and crazy, and like blood was flying, and I'm sure the guy was screaming, and like the leg comes flying off, and one of the dudes in the audience dies of a heart attack when like he cuts his assistant's hand and like blood spraying, and like that guy starts yelling. So a dude in the audience dies of a heart attack. He finishes the surgery. That dude dies like 2 days later. His assistant's hand got septic. He died like the following week. He killed 3 people out of 1 patient in a single surgery and was like praised for how quick he was.
Yeah.
So that's
dude, I'm imagining like an anime samurai who just like unsheaths his like katana really quick, puts it back in, and all of a sudden like
his assistant,
the leg
the
just
audience,
falls off.
and the patient die.
And everyone's dead, yeah.
It's like Kite's scythe in Demon Hunter.
Yeah.
Hunter.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what came to mind when you said competitive surgery. Not sure it's a great idea,
Yeah.
but we can workshop it. We'll think about it.
I think
Oh, I have a better
you're
idea.
dumb.
We start
What?
with a multi-pieced cadaver, and the time trial is putting it back together. You said Frankenstein.
Ooh, like a puzzle, yeah. I kind of like that, like a human jigsaw puzzle.
It's dark, but I like it.
Yeah, me too. Okay.
We'll get the cadavers
This guy sounds like
from the semi-finalist team in the
Mhm.
Capture the Flag as a way to blunt nation military, but also still like keep
we
keep
need
an
our
emphasis on
businesses
winning.
feeding each other. Yeah, we need synergy between our businesses. We need them to feed each other.
This is good. This is really good.
Yeah, I think so too. Another sport that I have for our AltLympics is we're bringing back dueling.
Oh, for sure. Now, is that sword
Yeah.
dueling, pistol dueling, both, or both at the same time?
Yeah, flintlock pistols.
I love it.
Yeah.
Right?
Maybe,
There's already fencing.
No, yeah, I like that.
We don't need dueling with
Yeah.
swords.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, just 10 paces, shoot. It's a quick tournament. It's a very fast event. You can get it done in an afternoon.
Yeah. We'll decide if it's non-lethal later, but dueling.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Also,
Go
another one for that, steroids are allowed.
Yeah, for sure. I want
Yeah,
your figure to
steroids
be
are
so
allowed in
fucking
dueling.
muscled up and twitchy.
Exactly.
I want the
yeah.
muscles to function faster than human reflexes.
Yeah.
So, it's
Mm-hmm.
Sunday and I'm making my way through some videos, realizing quickly that I am fucked. And that continues. Through Monday, I figure out that I have now finished half of the bacteria And that leaves all of the immunology, all of the drugs, the other half of bacteria, all of the viruses, parasites, fungi, and helminths.
Okay.
And I've used 30% of my prep time up.
Right.
So I stopped doing the extra review and I'm like, okay, we adapt. We cut stuff out. We speed this up. I'm watching videos at like 1.5 times speed, and I'm not doing the flashcards that can accompany them because I've already worked my way through 1,500 of 6,000 flashcards and I'm not moving fast enough.
Mm-hmm.
Watching videos. We're like 2 days out. I'm like, okay, this is bad. I brought my tent and set it up in a classroom at the school and stayed there in a sleeping bag for a few hours, mostly because I knew a picture would go in our class Slack and I thought that the joy would help people out in these trying times.
Hell yeah. Yeah. So
I left the tent set up in the school for like 2 days, realized they were touring prospective students who had matched the bill. One saw the tent and I'm like, ooh, bad look. So before they brought the group of 18 the next day, I took the tent down. And then an upperclassman opened the door while we were all studying. The tables are like strewn with leftover like takeout containers, candy, like energy drinks, and Starbucks cups. They're like,
yep.
Everyone's got noise canceling headphones on, studying together, but in our own world of terror.
Yeah.
And
we love it here.
Exactly. This school's great.
Yeah.
And the upperclassman goes, "Aw, where's the tent? I wanted to show them." Like, why?
That's so scary. Yeah. You're like, oh, I'd love to go to the school. And then you find out that kids are literally camping in the school buildings out of necessity.
And it's like, we did this to ourselves. We're the bad students. Don't stress about it.
Yeah, exactly.
We're the fuck ups here.
Damn.
And
my boy really brought a tent.
And a sleeping bag, yeah.
Oh,
and
man.
used it. I knew if I brought it and set it up, I had to use it at least once. So I took like a 3-hour nap after a nearly all-nighter once.
Okay.
And I continued. I accidentally got 8 hours of sleep because I slept through like, I don't know, a plasma donation appointment or something the following day. Just exhaustion and 12 to 15-hour days of studying. And all the while, I'm like, okay, I got to speed this up. I'm watching videos on 2 times speed. I'm watching videos on 2.5. By the time Thursday gets here for my Friday morning exam, I'm like, all right, this is it. I accidentally overslept the night before. I got 6 hours of sleep. I am ready to go.
Yeah.
And I set up at school by like 10:30 in the morning. God bless roommate Vince taking care of Freya for bathroom and feeding. And I stayed there.
Shout out, Vince.
Watching videos, discussing shit with my classmates, and grinding through as much review as I could possibly cram into my brain. By 3 a.m., I was up to 3 times speed on science,
God.
Bacteriology videos and pharmacy video, like not light listening.
Yeah.
And somehow the right combination of like fear, adrenaline, guilt, shame, and caffeine kept me like at ultra instinct. I was sitting there honed in, staring at this screen for probably 15 of 18 hours, just like pummeling my brain with more and more information and somehow feeling like I was retaining and stacking it all in. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm still burnt out from this, but what's the Hunter there? Nen? Is this my special Nen ability? Like, is this my hormone? I've just like, I don't know. I've never been able to put that much info into my head in a single sitting. I've never had that attention span, but for like 18 hours, I watched 40 hours of videos.
It sounds like you got like a runner's high for studying.
Literally. Casey went home at like 2:30 to go to bed for 3 hours. Ty and Allison took a break at like 3 or 4 a.m. for a couple hours. And I was sitting there in the room with the lights off, my screen dimmed, zooming through at 3.5 times speed by the time 6 a.m. rolled around. And dude, I took the test and felt pretty comfortable on like 80% of it.
Hell yeah, dude. Okay.
And then immediately afterwards, we go back, regurgitate as many questions as we can, because if it's not the same exam for remediation, it's at least like the same content. And that gives us an idea of what we need to study if we failed this test. So we regurgitate everything we can. Gradually, I make my way home. And literally the rest of yesterday, I'm not entirely sure how it went. I think I got home around like 1 or 2, but the exam finished by like 11:30 and I wasn't chatting past noon. So I don't know what happened between like 12 and noon or 3.
You blacked out.
I didn't get a chance to take a nap. I remember that, but I was, I guess, like maybe hanging out with Freya, walking Freya. I got a package or something, maybe sending some emails and shit till like 5, I think, when Vince got home. Hung out with him, had some food, and then went and hung out with a friend on the 4th floor because she was getting burgers delivered and asked if I wanted to eat.
Yeah.
We put on comedy at some point between 7 p.m. and 9 p.m. just like on Netflix while I was eating a burger and my fries and stuff. And at some point after that, I fell asleep on her couch and woke up at 5 a.m. And I'm not totally sure, like, I don't remember what comedian we'd put on. I don't remember if I finished my burger or fell asleep holding it. I don't remember most of yesterday, but I remember that like words were hard. Keeping a train of thought going was hard. My mom called and asked how the exam was, and I was like having a difficult time following the conversation. Like I burnt myself. It was literally Gon using all of his life's Nen energy in a moment. I burnt like 4 days worth of brain function on a single 36-hour window. But like still today, this morning, like I picked up one of the second year students who was also volunteering and we carpooled. And I like apologized at some point. I missed like 2 turns on the drive. You know how many turns I've missed since moving to Austin? None.
I imagine
up until today. None.
Wait, really?
I know. And it was incredible because I realized that at some point, maybe a couple months ago, I think Molly was driving and I was in the car and she might have missed a turn or something. And I realized then and have like checked in since. Like, oh shit, somehow I've like not missed any turns. I'm either learning the city really well or despite the stress and traffic, it's well designed or something. Like it's been a little
dude, I miss a turn most times I drive in Austin. I would say.
Yeah, literally like on the day, I didn't miss a turn in driving to Texas, which was crazy. And Hamza and I talked about it.
Yeah, that is wild.
Until like,
God bless.
Maybe like as I was pulling up to the apartment the first time I did or something. But like, I've not made wrong turns. Somehow I've been like navigating the city flawlessly. And I missed several turns on our drive this morning. Like with the GPS mounted.
Yeah, it probably would have been better if you were just like drunk or something.
That would have solved my problem. And I would have been so much better volunteering at the Special Olympics. But yeah, so that like persisted into the day. I've been still groggy and drowsy. There you fucking go. Like words are hard right now still. It's been yesterday especially, the brain fog was like a little bit scary. I'm like, is this late COVID? What happened?
I don't know if we recorded that, if that would have been the best episode, a good episode, or just like an absolute dumpster fire.
I wouldn't have remembered right now what I had said, honestly. It was
catch you saying some incriminating stuff.
It was and has been and continues to be kind of rough. I took a nap like an hour and a half before we recorded, thank God. And
yeah, me too.
I woke up and pulled out my phone because I know still I'm like behind on emails. I'm behind on text messages. I've like not been talking to people all week. And also people are coming over later to celebrate the end of the exam and Vince moving in. And I just got another 17 unread messages right now. Steve, in the time that you've known me, how often do I have unread notifications?
Oh, like never. Yeah, I would say. I can't name a time.
Yeah, they're scrolling to the point where it's ... on the notification bar of my phone.
Oof.
And I knew I went to bed with that. I woke up like I'm not able to keep up and I have to catch up at some point, but it hasn't yet.
Yeah, and that'll be a quick catch up.
But like on waking up from this nap, I'm holding my phone and like unable to comprehend what I'm seeing. Like I'm like this. No, I need to text them back. Steve, did Steve text? And I'm trying to text. And every like 8 minutes, I wake up again, realize it's 8 minutes later, and look at 4 words and a bunch of gibberish in the text box for like an email, a couple of different like for 40 minutes, I did this semi-awake, like trying to respond to people, maybe getting off one successful text every 15 minutes. Like I'm still having so much trouble processing anything.
Dude, you gave yourself a stroke. I hate to tell you. Like
Danny Luby be with me
That sounds
now.
like it's what happened. Yeah.
The crazy part is somehow I walked into the exam feeling like I got a 67 on my first test of college. I started my very first exam of freshman year was honors multivariable calculus. I went at it with high school preparation energy, and I got a 67.
Right.
Figured it out and did better in the class, and that didn't happen again. But that's the only test I failed, and it was 2 points above failing. I walked into the test yesterday at peace with the fact that I'm more likely than not was not passing that exam. Like, I knew that so early in the week that was the hole I had dug myself into, that I was at peace with it by the time the test actually happened.
Right.
And somehow I walked out of the test thinking, I probably passed that.
Let's go, dude.
I probably took 3 or 4 years off of my life.
Yeah,
but at least I might not have to take this test again.
Yeah, seriously. Yeah, because if you did, you'd have to take another few years.
No, I'd do better. And honestly, I have to take, like, step 1 is the first board exam, and it covers all of the preclinical classes. I think I'm trying to squeeze that in during my summer this year. I'm not going to have a summer vacation. I'm giving up the idea of taking a trip with Ty and you. Sorry. But all of the information that I just got tested on, I am going to be responsible for, and to an even greater degree of depth come like July when I plan to take that test. So now I'm going to be doing the flashcards every single day a little bit until then. Yeah. Until I'm not directly responsible for testing on it. Yeah, dude, I'm not proud of it. I tell this story as one of shame and fear and confusion. Yeah. It's not good. Somehow it might have worked. Again, in combination, like, by Wednesday, I was saying it's not a margin of failure. It is a margin of success on a probability of failure. And like, a lot of things needed to go right. I needed to cover a shitload of content. Getting it up to 3.5 times speed at least fooled me into thinking I was able to do that. I needed to skip a lot of stuff, which I did. I needed a lot of questions to be ones that happened to be things I covered, which they were. Like, it felt like a lot of things went my way, but we'll see if it's enough to counteract all of the studying procrastination. Yeah. All that to say, I'm fucking confused still.
Is this exam notoriously hard, or this class like...
That block is notoriously the most memorization, whereas most of medicine is like integrating things and conceptual understanding and interplay and decision making and like most likely choices. This one is like, aside from maybe anatomy, pretty much bulk memorization. Like, the immunology stuff is still conceptual and treatment based. And clearly they tried to make it that way with the questions we're given, but like 150 pathogens, 150 drugs, and all of the side effects, names, what generation they are, who has resistance to what, like, there's really no getting around that is memorization.
Yeah. Well,
so I think this is the test
glad
that
for now you're on the other
has
side
the
of
lowest
it.
grade. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, well, you're past it, buddy. I mean, is the next exam going to be just more shit like this, or?
Nope, it's not. It's back to like the last full block. I'm now in my 5th and final block of my preclinical year. So cheers.
Oh, wow. Yeah, dude, you're making your way downtown.
2/3 of the way through it by time, 5/7 of the way by exams, 4/5 by classes. So I have a midterm and a final, 2 months, all one class, and it's mechanisms of disease. All of it is like very clinically realistic case presentation and like digging into that and exploring, like, still a lot of self-study and research, and more drugs will come up and more new things will come up. But now it's like case after case after case after case. Like, this happens, what do you do? This happens, what do you do? This happens, what is it? And we're like working through as if we were presented with real patients. And like, that's kind of the focus. So these exams will be much more integrative of all of the things we've learned, much more like, okay, I only know 70% of this, but I think it's enough that I can work my way through a logical progression and make a diagnosis and treatment plan. And that's the idea of what we're trying to learn. So I'm looking forward to this class much more. Yeah.
Okay. Happy for you, pal.
Thanks, buddy. Spinning off on tangents. Anyway, AltLympics.
Right.
Competitive all-night studying.
Ooh, that sounds like a great spectator sport.
Misery loves company, and I'm here to bring it to them. Yeah, I feel like we're building out a pretty cohesive set of games, honestly.
Yeah, surgery, paintball, or surgery, capture the flag.
Corpse reconnection, capture the flag.
Yeah, right.
Pistol dueling, and then spikeball, can jam, and cornhole.
Yeah. It's like quality set of games.
Tailgating and then death matches.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think that's a good way to order them. If we can get them to be progressively more deadly.
Dude, even better.
Sure, okay.
It's all the same people that compete in all of them.
Like a decathlon?
Or at least it's like a stage A and a stage B. Like maybe the surgery thing is separate from the capture the flag, is separate from the dueling. But the first stage is all of those competitors playing backyard games against each other to determine advantages or points going forward.
I kind of like, we have to make them become friends first so that it's extra heartbreaking in the later rounds.
When one of them fires a pistol into the other one.
Yeah.
I feel like
you were my brother!
At Olympic level dueling, when they're shaving off hundredths of a second in sprints and like millimeters in archery... I feel like what's going to happen an awful lot is two people die at almost the same time.
Yeah, probably. That's what we watch it for, dude.
How do you train for that sport? That might not be like a competitive sport. That might just be open submission, people that like want to fucking duel each other to the death.
Yeah, I mean, you can practice dueling.
Yeah, once. Or up until once.
You don't have to spar to like practice. You can like just walk 10 paces from the target.
You got to practice like you play, and there's no practice like game time practice.
That's true. Yeah.
I might have seen. There's a subreddit called The Ocho, if you aren't familiar, and it's a lot of things that we could draw inspiration from. Honestly,
ooh, yeah.
I don't know why I haven't pulled it up yet, but I saw something on there, and I think it was like. It's some like a little old-timey competition that was violent and protected with modern quality gear. Like first, I think it might have been that I'm thinking of jousting, because jousting has come back up as a competitive thing.
Right. That'd be a good one.
I think there's also medieval MMA where dudes literally like in a ring, in armor, with blunted weapons, wail on each other. And I've seen clips of that, and I love it.
I'm thinking, we might need to have two separate Olympics, one of backyard games and one of basically deathmatch games.
That makes a lot of sense.
I don't know if we're going for the same demographic with all of these games.
I'd argue that we're absolutely not.
Yeah, and also with jousting, obviously steroids allowed.
Yeah. Oh, God, yeah.
Yeah. I want people getting skewered like shish kebabs.
I'm scrolling through the Ocho now, and the issue is that it needs to be stuff that we can accurately audio describe for the listeners instead of,
right,
just watching. But holy shit, you got to watch some of these. Everyone at home, go to Reddit, check out the Ocho. Just filter by best of all time, because you deserve that treat in your life. And the whole point, I think, of some of these the Ocho sports is that words don't do them justice. Sweet Jesus. I'm going to minimize that screen before I get sucked into it for too long.
Gotcha.
All right. So backyard Olympics, fair enough. I don't think that should be country-wise. I think that should just be massive feeder tournaments all over the world.
Yeah, I agree.
And then, and you know what it is? Straight up like House of Representatives style. Whatever we've got, 8.2 billion people or whatever it is now, divide it by the number of people in your country, figure out your percentage. That is your percentage of competitors that you can send for the backyard games.
Okay.
Maybe it's one and that dude has to compete in all the shit. Maybe you got a whole squad. I don't know. We'll just deal with that later. That's outsourcing.
Okay. Yeah, and we'll set the ratio to be very America-centric. So America will get 50 people. No, it's so much bigger than everywhere else.
That's not true.
Yeah.
Actually, population split
not
isn't good
else.
either, because then China's going to send 200 like specially bred backyard game athletes trained in facilities. True. Never mind. We're going to just fucking rip off the Olympics and their breakdown of invitations.
I think we should just keep it just completely open to anybody. I want everyone who wants a chance at this to have a chance.
Grand backyard tournament.
Exactly. The worldwide tournament.
Which tournament arc from which anime are we ripping off? Because that's another every single one of them theme that we're pulling from unoriginally.
Oh yeah,
the world tournament.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, the Tenkaichi Budokai.
Budokai is my favorite category on Pornhub.
Oh yeah.
You see the joke I was making more there?
Oh, I saw it.
Hope everybody saw it. Check it out, Pornhub.
Yeah. Check it out on YouTube.
Okay, so Backyard Olympics, easy. We're ripping off the Olympic invitation and country breakdown style, but like everyone is open from those countries.
Yeah.
It's just do your own fucking tournament, figure it out, and send the people our way after.
Yeah, exactly.
Easy. That's outsourced.
Yeah.
Okay, I think that one's set. And like there's a pretty good lineup.
I think so too.
And aside from that, military games, we've got Capture the Flag, dueling, maybe medieval MMA. Let's throw that in there. That needs the recognition.
Yeah, sure. And yeah, jousting also.
Yeah, for sure, jousting. I want to reenact A Knight's Tale. And then I think there was one other that we had though.
Surgery.
Right. Not exactly military, but I like it. We'll just throw the Frankenstein event in there. That's the wild card.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Backyard games, at least spike ball. That's my literal only requirement, and I'll put my entire life funding into this.
Spike ball, can jam, cornhole,
badminton,
maybe tetherball.
That's already in the Olympics. Oh, you know what? No, let's include badminton just so that we can make a statement about how that doesn't belong in the real Olympics.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah,
that's a silly game.
I like tetherball in there.
Ooh, ladder ball. I'm double checking.
Ladder ball.
Yeah, where you have like 3 tiers and you got fucking what's the bolas or whatever, like the trip 'em up bolas that you throw onto the rungs for points. You know what the fuck I'm talking about.
Yeah, that's a good one too.
Yeah, we got to have that.
Horseshoes,
croquet.
Yeah.
And jumbo Jenga, which like 2x4s.
Okay, sure. Yeah. Yeah, we can leave that.
I would love to see international Jenga.
Yeah.
It's going to be perfect stacks almost every time, and people are going to have to do drop sets.
Yeah. I guess because, what happens once you have, I don't know, just a complete tower of 1 on every row?
I don't know, but I think we should do double size. Like 3x3 is still probably best, although we could do 4 or 5 if we want to be psycho. I think we should do 3x3, but like tall. Like they start with ladders. And you best believe they got to move ladders around to do this. It takes 2 hands to hold the 2x4, and you got to yank it out from under a whole stack, like 200 pounds of wood.
Have you ever seen competitive slap fighting?
Oh my God, yeah.
Yeah.
That goes in the military
That's terrifying. Yeah, definitely.
But we're putting that in the Olympics, yeah.
Okay, good. Also, steroids allowed.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I Googled like best backyard games, and giant chess is one of them. Do we want to put that in our backyard Olympics?
Just as long as it's giant, I think that we can get viewers.
Harry Potter life-size chessboard.
Yeah.
Good.
Where the pieces are animatronic and like swing weapons.
I was about to say, should we make it violent and put it in the military?
Yes. Yeah. I would say so.
I like it. We'll put chess in there. All right. Yeah, that's a pretty solid lineup.
I think so too.
Okay, so our task for next time, we're gonna research a little bit about a person we want to talk about, or a thing, or like just something nifty to share with our friends. We're talking out loud and thinking out loud here, so that they know we're putting in effort. We're doing half as many episodes, but they're 1.5 times as long, which, if you don't do the math, means that it all equals out in the end.
Yeah, exactly. I would never suggest doing math, just in general. So this is no exception.
I mathed once. Wasn't for me.
Oh, also, quick PSA to all the fans out there. Hulu is losing the license to a lot of different animes in 12 days from now. So I know Steins Gate's one of them. I'm in the middle of that right now.
How is that?
Trigun's another one.
How is that?
Steins Gate, it's great so far. It's very complex. It's all about like time travel and stuff. And you got to stick with it for a while because it can be like very confusing at the beginning, but I'm told it all comes together eventually. So
well, I got 12 days.
Yeah, true. It's only 24 episodes, so it's not super long.
Oh, easy.
You watched Yeah, 2 episodes a day. But we're also recording this on the 19th, so I guess that's the end of the month. So yeah, if there's any animes on Hulu you've been thinking about checking out,
Yeah, 10 days when this comes out, 9, whatever.
Yeah, so look into make sure they'll still be there if you need to watch them on Hulu. I mean, anime is so easy to find for free everywhere, but yeah,
especially tentacle
just
anime.
Thought I'd give that. Yeah, it's hard to avoid. Even if you want to.
Do you ever have any experiences in like elementary school? Remember when computer labs were a thing?
Mm-hmm.
A time! I remember when that evolved into computer carts.
Wait,
like computer?
What do you mean?
Our computer lab. I remember in elementary school at several schools I went to. The computer lab was like, you know, you rotate there for 1 or 2 hours a week or something, and you have like your little type to learn games, or like in 4th or 5th grade, you start learning what the PowerPoint is or whatever the fuck.
Oh, yeah.
And, you know, whole desktops in a room, and there's 1 or 2 rooms like that for a school. And I remember in like middle school when that became like the first early smart boards, which kind of sucked, but people were excited.
Oh, yeah.
And no one knew how to use it. Was a huge issue. I remember my middle school got them in like all of the rooms, despite having like 25 portable classrooms outside. They were like, this is a good use of our budget. And then no one knew how to use them. 2008 teachers are like, I think you can draw with this. So like no one is really using it, but they've evolved since. And it evolved into like computer carts that came into the room, and everyone was on a laptop and you could do computer class in your room. And then by high school, like it was laptop programs where like all the students had laptops. Weird growing up through that time.
Yeah.
But in like elementary or middle school, did you ever on the homeroom computer in the classroom computer lab have any student issues with like what's on the computer? Like, because I have a story for that.
So kind of. I remember like, I mean, when we had like indoor recess, if like the weather was shitty or something, and like there was just 2 computers in our classroom, so all the kids would huddle around and like people would suggest YouTube videos and stuff. And then one of the like teacher's aides came in, and she saw us watching a Fred video, the original Fred video. And I remember a character said that they were drunk, and she got very upset with us and told our teacher on us, and we all hated her for it.
Yeah, that's not super intense. The one I remember is, I don't remember who did it, but I remember I want to say 2nd grade. No, I think it was 3rd or 4th, probably 4th grade. I remember like, for some reason, sometimes some kids were like able to be in that room during lunch or something. Like there were other times you could use the computer. We had like the accelerated reader thing where you could take quizzes and get points for the books you read. So like, I don't know, there were times when kids could use the computer outside of just like, say, indoor recess or something. And I remember that I used it in the morning to take one of those quizzes. And then I remember that at the end of like lunch or something, so there was our morning like free time, or like there were time that other kids used the computer, but I don't remember who or any details at this point. I just remember I had used it in the morning, and then at the end of lunch, somebody had vacated the computer and it was kind of in a nook, and the teacher went over to check, and there were a bunch of those pop-ups. Like
what do you mean?
Like porn like cartoon. Not that the pop-ups were cartoon, but in the sense that it was comical and like a joke you would see in Big Mouth, like porn pop-ups on the screen all over this computer screen. And I don't know who did it, and I was only on like the quiz program, but I don't know computers. I'm fucking 10. And I thought that I was somehow responsible or going to get in trouble for it, for having used the computer that day. Because she asked, like, who's been on the computer? And I only knew that I had. And I'm like, me?
Yeah. Right.
Like, nothing happened for me, thankfully. But I remember one time that did actually happen in a classroom of mine. Of like, I don't know where this kid was, but there were porn pop-ups. And I don't know if I saw it or if that's a fabricated memory or what. But, like, word got around that, like, I was on the computer.
Yeah, Zane's the pervert in the class.
Fuck you. That wasn't the word, but that was what was on the computer. And you know, in retrospect, I can't say what student had eyeline or saw that and then vacated, or who knew. That might have just been a fucking rumor that was what she got flipped out about.
Yeah. Some hero out there.
Some
willing to
jackass that
do
just
what's
Googled
daring.
like big boobs naked on a middle school
Yeah.
or elementary homeroom computer.
Naked girls for real.
Bob's and vagine.
Yeah. I don't know if I've told this story, but I had a friend growing up who I remember he was telling me when him and his brother were kids, they wanted to like look up, porn or whatever. Probably like they were like a couple years apart. So maybe they were like 10 and 12 or like 9 and 11, whatever it was. And they they had one family computer, and so in their dad's office, so they like scotch taped the door shut so that nobody could get in. And then they Googled like naked girls, but they just kept getting like cartoons and drawings. And so what they would search when they wanted to see naked girls was naked girls for real. Just the most innocent way for a child to look up pornography, dude. So funny.
You got to give them a pass for that. At least they're being
exactly
earnest and polite.
Yeah, naked girls for real.
Oh, a simpler time.
Yeah, seriously.
And now it has to be all jackhammers and stilettos. Ugh.
Yeah, it's the only thing that gets me there anymore, dude. Damn shame.
What is it? Ball gags, brownie mix, and clown porn.
That sounds
quote,
practiced.
Not original.
Oh, okay. I thought that was just a quote of
Nothing
your
but
psyche.
24/7 ball gags, brownie mix, and clown porn. Yeah, when they were going back and forth, him and Vanessa, about their like jokingly escalating horrible childhood.
Right.
Slept in a refrigerator box. You had a refrigerator? Yeah. Thankfully not an original, but maybe I'll check it out at some point.
Yeah.
I'm open-minded.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you don't know what you like until you give it the good old college try.
And on that note, to all our listeners, give Biweekly Fellas a good old college try.
Hell yeah. If there's anything you want us to discuss, throw it in the comments.
And throw money our way if you want more than this. If not, suck it up.
Yeah, exactly.
See you
Bunch of fucking freeloaders, dude. I can't stand any of them.
Fuck this. Goodbye. Peace.
Peace.